Welcome in to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today, I'm looking at Dynasty trades involving rookie picks, all from my Patreon Discord. Make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let's go. Trade number one, Puka Nacua or Dalton Kincaid in the 202, 12-team Superflex tight end premium. So, in my current Superflex tight end premium rankings at the 202, I have Ladd McConkey. I have Ladd McConkey there as my 202. Some people have him higher, but that's who I would have there. So looking at the trade with players included, Puka Nacua or Dalton Kincaid and Ladd McConkey. Now, of course, you could get a player you like more at 202, but this is just a way to visualize it in general. Now, let's look at some relevant statistics to help break down this trade. So Nacua in 2023, he was amazing. 105 catches, 1,486 yards, 6 touchdowns, 6.2 catches, and 87.4 yards a game. Kincaid, for a tight end, was great. 73 catches, 673 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4.6 catches, and 42.1 yards a game. So what is my verdict? I'll take the Puka Nacua side over Dalton Kincaid and 202. Why is that? Puka Nacua is an absolute alpha wide receiver. He is the best rookie season for a wide receiver ever, better than Jamar Chase. Kincaid's great, and I do like him, especially in the tight end premium format. But at tight end, to be a really valuable asset, really top tier, you have to be a difference maker. You can't just be good. You have to be elite. Has he proven that he can do that? He is not. As for Ladd McConkey, he might be good, but he has some flaws. I'm not totally sold on him as a prospect. So for me, I will take Puka Nacua, the known elite player, over more of the question marks on the other side. Next trade, Trevor Lawrence or Bryce Young in 203, 12-team Superflex tight end premium. At the 203 currently, I would have Michael Penix, although sometimes I see him go higher, sometimes I see him go lower. You could get someone like Ladd McConkey or Keon Coleman there. So the trade with players included Trevor Lawrence or Bryce Young and Michael Penix. So one quarterback for two quarterbacks. Let's look at a few relevant statistics I pulled up. Young's rookie year, 59.8% completion, 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 5.5 yards per attempt, and 39 carries for 253 yards. Now, I've done this before. I almost did it on this show, but I wanted to be more serious instead of pulling a joke. By putting up Lawrence's 2021 stats as Young's 2023 stats. Thought that might be funny because they're very similar completion percentage, actually worse on touchdown to interception ratio, a little bit better on yards per attempt, 6 instead of 5.5, and definitely better as a rusher because Lawrence is just a bigger player. 2 touchdowns, 334 yards. He just has that goal line ability that Bryce Young does not have. But the rookie years are very similar. And we know that Trevor Lawrence, while he hasn't become elite yet, did turn it around to become a good NFL quarterback, franchise quarterback. What is my verdict? The verdict is I'd rather have Trevor Lawrence. Yes, their rookie year stats are comparable, but as I said, Lawrence ran more and has the size that Young does not. Plus, I like Trevor Lawrence's year 2 situation better than what Bryce Young has. He just, doesn't quite have the same situation. And the 203, Michael Penix, it's not enough to take a chance here. I know that with Trevor Lawrence, he's going to get a contract extension. I'm getting a franchise quarterback. With Bryce Young, I don't know that. Even a number 1 overall pick only gets 3 years to prove himself, if they continue to be bad. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with Trevor Lawrence. Next up, a rare 1 QB trade. We don't do a lot of those. Anthony Richardson of the 202, 12-team, 1 quarterback. So, in that format at the 202, I currently have Xavier Legette. I would hear some people saying could be someone like Blake Corum, some people saying Jaden Daniels. But right now I have Xavier Legette there. So it would be Anthony Richardson or Xavier Legette. What is my verdict? The verdict is Anthony Richardson. Why? I don't usually like paying up for quarterbacks in 1 QB leagues. That's usually not my move. But Richardson could be a difference maker. We know he has the rushing upside. We didn't see much. It was a limited sample size. There were injuries. We can't really look at the NFL stats to say what he may or may not be. The one thing I can say is that when he played, I thought Anthony Richardson was more of a project he looked ready. He didn't look overmatched at an NFL level, despite having mixed bag of college experience, not much of it, and not looking so great as a passer when he was there. As for the downside of Richardson, I don't care about that as much in a 1 QB because you can find another one. You can find another quarterback. It's not hard to find quarterback in a 1 QB. So if he flames out, oh well. If he gives you top 5 quarterback performances for 3 or 4 years, well, it's going to be better than anything Leggett will give you, which is not going to be a top 24 wide receiver. So I'm going to go with Anthony Richardson in this one. Now, here's our next trade, a full picks trade here. 106 or 108 and a 25 first, 12-team Superflex non-tight end premium. So in a non-tight end premium, at 106, I'd have Rome Odunze, and 108, I would have X Worthy, who I have just ahead of Brock Bowers in the non-tight end premium. Maybe that's not consensus. I don't know. So it would be Rome Odunze or Xavier Worthy in 25 first. If you really want to take Brock Bowers, could be Brock Bowers in 25 first. What is the verdict? I'll take the extra first. I like Rome Odunze. I like him a lot. But would I really pay Xavier Worthy and a 25 first just to get Rome Odunze? Probably not. It's just not the kind of move I make. To tier up at wide receiver without getting a known elite player or a perfect prospect using a future first is a big risk. If the deal were Neighbors, if it were 105 or something, you could get Neighbors. I knew I was getting Neighbors with that pick. I'd find it more fair. Neighbors to me is just a hair better prospect than Odunze. For Marvin Harrison Jr., I think I would take Marvin Harrison Jr. because that's pretty much a sure thing. But for Odunze, I just can't do it. I don't want to pay future firsts unless I'm getting an overpay, and this isn't an overpay. Last trade on my list today, Derrick Henry in 208 or 203, 12-team Superflex non-tight end premium. So once again, 203 is Michael Penix. 208 for me, Marshawn Lloyd. So what does the trade look like? Derrick Henry and Marshawn Lloyd or Michael Penix. Now, let's look at Henry over the last couple of years. 2022, very solid. 349 carries, 1,538 yards, 13 touchdowns, 4.4 yards a carry, and 33 catches for 398 yards. Last year, the volume came down a bit, 280 carries, 1,167 yards, 12 touchdowns, 4.2 yards a carry, and 28 catches for 214 yards. Is Derrick Henry in decline? Yes. Is he washed? No. He's never been the same since his 2021 injury. He's never been the same. It's never been the Derrick Henry will beat you single-handedly like he was before that injury. But that doesn't mean he hasn't been good. Even this performance, the 2023 performance, is still a workhorse back. And believe me, the Ravens offense is a lot better than the Titans offense was last year. So what's my verdict? It's actually Derrick Henry in the 208. Now, don't get me wrong. Do you ever see me buy older running backs like Derrick Henry? No. However, if you have Derrick Henry, I think you can get more for Derrick Henry than just giving up the 208 to go to the 203. That's not that exciting for me. Can you get like 204 for Derrick Henry at least? I think you can do that. This is not my favorite deal. So I think you can get more for Derrick Henry. Maybe in a cross-positional trade, you could get more for Derrick Henry. But this trade just feels like you're giving up on a very productive asset and blowing your opportunity cost in not the best way. So for me, maybe you can get 225 seconds. There's just so many better options than this deal. So I guess my verdict is to endorse the Henry side here. Now, I have a little bit of NFL news too. One bigger piece, one smaller piece. So let's jump into the first one. Jared Goff, he got a contract extension from the Lions, and boy, was it an extension. 4 years, $212 million, $170 million guaranteed. I mean, that is a huge deal. Top of an existing $32 million cap hit this year, goes through 2028. That 2028 year is an option, but, this is a big deal. With $170 million guaranteed, this deal is ironclad through at least 2026 and would cost them to get out of in 2027. So Goff is going to be their quarterback for the next 3 years minimum, probably 4. But you know that once it gets to the point where they can get out, we've seen even if it's expensive, they might try. So I'll say 3 years security for Jared Goff. I moved him up one spot above Drake May because this is just such a big contract. It's way bigger than I expected. And you got to realize that he's not even 30. Like, he's still young for a quarterback. So I'd rather have Goff locked in and secured over the maybe of Drake May, who is still a maybe, even though I love him as a player. Now, the next piece of news, and this one is less of a big deal. Marquez Valdes-Scantling signs with the Bills. 1 year, $1.125 million guaranteed, up to $4.25 million. It's actually the same guarantees as Matt Collins, but more than Chase Claypool. So for me, MVS and Hollins are kind of competing for that X receiver role alongside Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and Curtis Samuel. I do think that Coleman, Shakir, and Samuel, they're the three best receivers on this team. I think they'll see the most playing time. But MVS is just a veteran. Maybe he'll be the fourth receiver, kind of mixing in to take some of those guys off the field at times, give them a break. It's not a big contract. I'm not rostering any of MVS, Chase Claypool, or Matt Collins in Dynasty. I just have no interest. I think that Keon Coleman is the one you want to target. And either Khalil Shakir or Curtis Samuel it's going to be it's not going to be both, but it's going to be one of the two of them might have a role alongside Coleman, Kincaid, and either Shakir or Samuel. Those are the players I want to target. I'm fine taking the bet between Shakir and Samuel, but I'm not taking a bet on MVS, Hollins, or Claypool in this offense at all. Now, if you like the video so far, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Now, I have some questions for my Patreon, which you can join up there, patreon.com/fantasyadvice. The link's also in the description. I have 3 questions today. 2 of them are about trade strategy. And then we have 1 player question. So let's jump into that. How do you know when to tear down? That's a very complex question. That could do a whole video on that. But in general, it's when I think I can get value for doing so. I am always willing to tear down, tear out, as in go down a tier, or trade out for rookie picks, just rookie picks for a player, on any player. And that's my best tip. Be open to all types of offers. The one thing I generally don't like to do is tier up within a tier. I don't like to pay whatever that is. That I usually don't do. If you just never did that again, you wouldn't be missing out on much. But I'm always open to tearing down, and that's generally what I prefer, especially if I can get future firsts involved in that. How to proceed when you put a player or pick on the trade block and get no interest. Target managers that have a need for your asset and reach out. What do you do? Great question. First tip, don't put them on the trade block. It lets everyone know that you want to move that player or pick. Instead, just work with managers individually to make deals. If it's an on-the-clock pick, everyone knows that you might want to move it anyway. Just send offers. Work with individual managers. Do not put the pick on the trade block. That is a mistake. If it's a player during a down time of the year, maybe. I still would rather not. Just send offers, work with individual managers. So that's my answer. It's just don't put them on the trade block. Kind of in concert with that, I've seen you mention being aggressive in the trade market. Can you explain more about what that means? Sure. It means sending offers on the clock, not waiting for people to come to you, sending offers in general, ask for more, and counter incoming offers. Be aggressive. Take opportunities. Explore all avenues to improve your team. Don't be lazy. That's what that means. Last question. Outlook for Chris Olave in 2024. He seems overpriced in the community. I like the talent, but the situation is bad. Is it worth it to tear down? His receiving line was set really high, so Vegas seems to like him. And let's look. In 2022 as a rookie, 72 catches, 1,042 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4.8 catches, and 69.5 yards a game. Last year, 87 catches, 1,123 yards, 5 touchdowns, 5.4 catches, and 70.2 yards a game. Same quarterback, no added target competition. Touchdown regression might come in his favor. Just turns 24 in June. Is the situation really so bad? I don't think so. Olave is actually a buy for me, not a sell. Now, if you like the video, make sure to drop a like and leave a comment with your thoughts on these Dynasty trades. As always, the best way to support the channel is to subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops on here. Of course, if you want my full Dynasty Fantasy Football advice, it's available on the Patreon, and every sign-up helps support the independent content that I'm doing here. But once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.